You are now tuned into episode 36 of the HipPodHedz podcast. I am No Sage, along with Novak as always, where we discuss our favorite hip hop moments, rate, review, share, comment. Check us out on all the socials. And this episode, we got a special guest, my podcast god from way, way back from the Squeezing Lemons podcast days, the Sage God, Deshaun. You're
Yes,
here.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Thank
We
you. Very
appreciate you.
excited. I'm excited for this conversation.
Thank you very much. And I should say you are a mother, wife, educator, and yoga instructor, and also a restorative justice advocate and disruptor. So I
All the
appreciate you doing
things.
all that. And obviously you were an inspiration for me on these podcast streets. Like real talk, like this microphone was the first time I ever potted when I somehow was drafted in your slot in the old Squeezing Lemons podcast. I already said too much, but we appreciate it.
I love that so much.
I just gotta bow down. I am just like a guest in both of your spaces, and then even Novak was like a podcast god in my eyes, and the pulling back the curtain days when he was podding too. So let's hop into it. Check it. So
Let's do it.
OutKast, 3 Stacks, the new album dropped today, the solo album of Andre 3000. Deshaun, well, first of all, I wanted to talk OutKast for a while. Like me and Novak, we try to like approach specific hip hop topics that are top of mind, and that one has always been rattling in the back of our heads for quite some time. So I think it's no better time than now, right? I mean, the album dropped today, November 17th. I would imagine some of this might vibe with some of your yoga stuff, but I don't want to prime any of your feels that you got like on this project.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts, so I am ready to share. I'm a big OutKast fan. When I saw that the album was coming out, I was very excited the other day when I saw it. Like, it's been a long time from Andre 3000. And we are always like, folks who love hip hop are excited anytime we get a verse from him in these past, 10 years? It's been a long time. So just seeing that he was about to come with a full project was really, really exciting. But I'm a big OutKast fan, Andre 3000 fan. So I'm definitely down to talk about OutKast and those memories. Like, just they've done some great work and just been innovators. And so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, they've definitely changed the genre in terms of what hip hop group is all about. You think about their evolution right now. When they first came out, they were two dope boys in Cadillac, and it went from Cadillac music to poetic justice, if you want to say, in that situation, all the way to two albums that basically split in the middle because the Aquemini was both their personalities together. And then you can speak about Love Below. What you saw the evolution of two artists going two different ways. They came together and they split, and they never came back together as a whole again. Whatever. It's like two atoms splitting at that point in time.
For sure.
I miss that group so much because you think about that core with the Dungeon Family. You think about Wish Doctor and all the rest of those artists that came out the South. ATL. I mean, it was a beautiful time down there. I mean, the first time I heard Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, I was on the school bus, and the first time I heard that bass drop, when they first come on, man, it just pulled you right into that world pretty much.
Absolutely. I was, just as you're talking, and I think I listened to the NPR interview with Andre 3000 this week, which I thought was beautiful and really a phenomenal job. And he talked about like where he's come from, like the Dungeon Family, like I don't know if you all have ever seen the documentary, The Art of Organized Noise, but it is just, oh my God, it's beautiful. You got to see it. Just about like their creativity and how they came together, and like we're literally in a dungeon creating that music, which is, there was so much freedom. And the thing that I appreciate in this evolution and that Andre 3000 was talking about is like, he was like, I couldn't have done any of this without Big Boy's like permission and like been able to do these different things. But to see that he's still able to have that creativity or that freedom that they had when they were so young, creating something new in a different space when it was big time East Coast, West Coast. The South wasn't really, you know, like he said, the South had something to say and they did and really started something there. But I appreciate that all these years later, he's still able to be creative, which you don't always see artists get to do. So, you know, I think it's just amazing. And as you were talking, like I have so many OutKast songs that have just like when the bass drops, it just touches you.
I mean, think about crumbling. The first time you heard crumbling herb, and you know, crumbling herb, or you know, you think about elevators. I mean, man, the first time I saw the Eddie Aliens out artwork cover, you saw it and you just like, man, it's hip hop. You know, it's the artwork was on point. The artwork basically made me want to buy the album. That's how dope it was. You know, you had the whole Johnny Quest thing going on. You saw these watching cartoons that we grew up with a little bit. You know, Andre's always been so different off the spectrum with it, but Big Boy, you're right, allowed him to grow as an artist, and he basically became that voice for him in the OutKast. You think about like Big Boy was still doing his thing, you know, Big Boy is still slamming Cadillac doors and everything else, but Dre turned into the Erykah Badu of that group, if you think about it, and that's the Erykah Badu effect on him as well. You know, she changes artists, you know. If she touches you, you become enlightened. You think about it. I mean, he went straight into the middle passage and went straight up to spirituality, if you think about it. Because
Yeah.
Growing Old 13th Floor, you know, that song that's on that Growing Old song, basically, you know, it's real spiritual. I mean, you know, there's spirituality to OutKast, which is, you know, if you listen to it late at night and you're driving on the road from somewhere. I was listening to OutKast and I was driving from St. Louis to Chicago one night, and I was like, oh my God, I just saw my grandma and all these other people all inside that music. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. I think, you know, I was pulling up my wedding day playlist and Liberation is on my wedding day playlist. And that's like, you know, just such a vibey and spiritual, like the way that the melodies and that. So as we're talking about these different songs, I'm like, were there signs that we were going to go in this path? You know, like was there always an undertone that Andre 3000 could get to this space with some of the music that they've already come out with?
I love that you said that, because like in the NPR article, give it a listen, it's nice. It's 1 hour. I think it dropped earlier this week. He was talking with Rodney Carmichael, and you can sort of just hear like his whole thought process from like the last time OutKast was active. Like for me, it felt like it was yesterday. I don't know about these young folks on these streets. Like they probably need to be reminded who 3 Stacks is, but like for me, it felt like it was just yesterday. And almost to hear him talk about it, it felt like it was yesterday to him. Like he couldn't even remember like sort of when Idlewild and the double album kind of came out, right? And he talks a lot in that interview about like him sort of going wherever the road takes him or wherever the wave takes him, the metaphorical wave. So I don't know. It's just a lot to unpack, because like, yeah, I'm really happy he's still creating. And Novak shared on a couple of these podcast conversations we had that he was wandering these streets. And that's the first time I heard him actually say it from his mouth. Like he even said like it was like a funny "Where's Waldo" kind of trope at this point. We're like, where's 3 Stacks at playing the flute now? Where is he? And he almost like was taken aback by that, I guess.
I saw him in Hearts Airport playing the flute by the Jamaican restaurant inside the airport. And now you see somebody and you stare for a minute, like, nah, that can't be him. And I got closer and people are like walking by dropping money. I'm like, this is Andre. Why you guys they were dropping money? Because they thought he was like a street performer for a minute. I'm like, this is Atlanta. So Atlanta's weird. It's like I felt like I was in the Atlanta TV show for a minute. Because I walked by and I'm waiting for Donald Glover to pop up and be like, gotcha. And so I'm looking at him, he's looking back, and I'm just like, he's playing the flute. And you know, somebody else basically started humming Spidey Out of Docious. And I'm like, somebody's humming Spotty Adocious in the background, and I'm just like, wow. So that's Andre. He didn't say much. He packed his flute up and moved to the next area of the airport. And I was like, wow. I didn't get a chance to really say nothing to him or anything, because people figured out who he was. They kind of rushed him, and he moved away. That's how crazy it was.
That's amazing. Did you take a photo?
I didn't get a photo. I was on a work trip, and I went down there for work, and I was just like, it can't be, because I was in shock that it's him. And he had the hair, he had his hair wrapped, he had like the scully on basically, so you can see a little bit of gray on the side. You see it. It's almost like seeing him today and seeing his evolution from, they went from two high school classmates to what they are today. And that evolution is, man, it's something else, to see like the growth from, Aquemini to Idlewild, and then because the Idlewild movie, man, that movie is one of the dopest visual movies you're ever gonna see. It's the inspiration what Kanye does, and a lot of artists stole from what Idlewild does. Like when he did "She Lives in My Lap" in that movie, he's getting her ready for the funeral. I was like, wow, what kind of New Orleans work is this, right? What kind of New Orleans magic is this? This is what they do in New Orleans. They celebrate death and march to the cemetery. He got her dressed, he cleaned her up and everything. He's playing "She Lives in My Lap," and I'm just like, wow, it's creepy, but it's so haunting and it's so rich. When you watch that scene. But yeah, he could have took a lot of different ways with Idlewild. Could have took a lot of that Rooster character was fantastic in that movie. Big Boy's character was hilarious. He's like the prohibition. Kind of like liquor, like the street thug or whatever from doing like that 20s, 30s era, pretty much. Big Boy's character was like the opposite of his character, the mortician. A whole different vibe in that movie. But yeah, they did a lot of great work.
I got to revisit Idlewild. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
Oh my God, I only heard the soundtrack, to be honest. I need to watch the film. I was trying to find it on the streams. I think it's like on HBO Films, but I don't think it's on Max for some reason, which is
it's probably
super weird how they're all rolling off their products or rolling off content. But like, y'all got my brain stirring, right? Because with that Spotty Adi Doppelicious song, right? Like even that sort of instrumentation, I sort of like feel like it's a precursor to this No Bars flute album, The New Blue Sun, which we probably will unpack. But yeah, I mean, like, like Novak, you invoked Ye, and obviously just talking about him is cringeworthy to a certain extent, but it's like, why can't we expect more of our hip-hop artists to not only rap? Like, yeah, if you want to be a fashion person, yeah, if you want to like play a flute, yeah, if you just don't want to spit bars at all, like, like you can kind of like evolve yourself and do different things, right? And it's kind of like, it's I don't want to say like the hip hop kid in me is dying inside, but it's also kind of like blossoming too, to think that somebody doesn't always have to be, like spitting them grimy raps. They can kind of like just kind of like emulate hip hop in anything they do, right?
Right. And I mean, I think about it. Are you the same person that you were 20 years ago? Like, are you necessarily doing the same things that you were doing 20 years ago? Some of the stuff, like I look at my Facebook posts from when Facebook started and cringe, but it's like, it's the evolution of me. I never would have thought that, 20 years, like that I would be a yoga teacher and saying some of the things that I do or holding the spaces the way that I do. But it's evolution, and we are we should be able to evolve. And what I love, just as we're having this conversation, definitely have thoughts about the album, but that I just don't think there's ever really enough spaces for Black men to be this free. And I think that there is a lot of freedom that it seems that Andre 3000 has, and not to be put in boxes of how he performs and what he does. And that's what I really appreciate. And hopefully like this album can give some other folks the freedom to go in a different direction and do something different, or step out of a box that they might feel like they can't because of who they are.
Well, think about it. Andre 3000 is the godfather to Uzi and the rest of these rappers today. You look at Lil Uzi, you look at Tyler the Creator, You look at all these artists, the reason they can dress, go be a certain way, even Young Thug, if you think about it, Thugger, you think about Thugger down there. That's Atlanta, so their tree is really wide down there. So you got Thugger has that whole like Dungeon Family sound, but it's Dungeon Family and more like a whole like street like sound to it. He sounds like OutKast when they first came out, but the difference is he has this way he can mumble something and you can hear it, but you understand exactly what he's talking about. And think about Future. Think about Future in that tree down there, basically. So Atlanta's got this cool Southern swag, which is different than Chicago, different than New York, different than LA. And they just kill stuff. You think about Art of Storytelling. You remember that track off the album when Slick Rick steps on that track and kills the track? He got on there. He started flowing like they did, basically. So he picked up that Dungeon Family smoothness about it. That just shows you how great Slick Rick is. He came on that track and killed it. The video was awesome for the Art of Storytelling.
And I think that makes sense. Like, yes, all the rappers who have come after them definitely are like the children of OutKast. And they have permission to do that, but men who are in the generation of Andre 3000, I feel like they don't have that freedom or aren't taking that freedom. And so maybe with this music from Andre 3000, or just how he moves, gives folks in that generation the freedom to be like, I'm gonna switch it up, I'm gonna do something different, those kind of things too.
Well, Will Smith always had that freedom, if you think about it.
Oh.
Think about it. Will Smith's been free. Well, I won't say free from Jada. But
I was about to say, what? Is he really free?
Well, you know what? To him, it's like the sunken place. So you think about it, it's like he's stuck there floating in space, and Jada's basically, she's ringing bells in the background, and he comes back on the red table. But, but yeah, he's been free. You think about his creative differences over the years. Like, you're doing the Wild West video. Before that, you're doing a song about just the two of us, you and your son. And, and yeah. Will's always done, he's done, Will has never cussed on the album, if you ever noticed any track. Yeah, true. And, Andre is kind of like that to a point. And, like the track where I saw his growth on was that last track with Kanye, basically, oh my God, on the Done album. The second version of that album, basically, when he came on there, basically, and he made Ye go to another level. It's like, and Stacks ain't did bars like that in a long time. When he was describing the scene about having sex with the girl while his mother was at church, and he did the breathing and everything, and you're like, man, this dude was really, you could tell that this wasn't a lie. Did he talk about my mother died from a heart problem, my father died from a heart problem. They both had broken hearts, so how do you put that together? I mean, he was killing that Kanye track. Ye came on and tried to get emotional with it, but his emotion was a response to Dre's emotion. Now, if he had went first, he would have had the weakest verses on that track. That's how it normally works.
Yeah, and when you talk about like the weaker verses or the more prominent verses, like again, it goes back to like the hip hop kid in me. It's like the dynamic duos of rap. Like we've seen it with Black Star and like Mos Def and Yasin Bey go on his own path, and then Talib still being like the spitter and then the rhyme sayer, what have you, and then the show kind of keeps coming back. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because like I don't think it's bad to like let artists kind of be artists, because like if you sort of like always want to package them in this dynamic duo of sorts, like you're not just letting them be human. Like the NPR article is like super compelling to me because as much as like 3 Stacks is probably top 5 or top 3 for some like rap fans, like he still is very much like appreciative of being with the Dungeon family, like just being in people's spaces and even in Big Boy's space for that matter. So it's like, I would love for him to honestly, like they sort of teased out if he would ever do movie soundtracks. Like that would be dope if he actually would like be able to score some stuff, because I know he made a run in a lot of movies, and I still haven't seen that Jimi Hendrix movie. I know there's been some movies he's been doing, but yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy because like the Gemini part of him has so many thoughts going on at the same time. But I'm just glad he seems like he's in a positive space.
Agreed. Yeah, same. And it really did. And like I just echo all of the things that you said. And that interview, for me, listening to the interview was so calm. And it just was like it was just the word I just kept saying was like this is just beautiful. And so then I was like, maybe the album will be like this, you know.
But
All
think
right,
about
all
it.
right.
He's at the laundromat. Think about it. He's at the laundromat and he's talking about, I really feel bad for people that can't wash their own clothes. And I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, Andre, I'm trying to drop my clothes off somewhere, man. You in there washing clothes. I got kids. I gotta I got kids too. But the thing is, washing can be stressful sometimes. But he in there washing the shoes, spin around, then he goes on the roof and plays his flute. I was like, where's this laundromat at? You know what I want to know? Where can you go to laundromat and not be seen in Atlanta? It was kind of just like I was waiting for it to be that trap house they had down there from from 2 Chainz. Remember he painted the house pink and everything?
Oh,
And
yes, yes, yes.
I waited to see the trap house right next to the laundromat and be like, it's on that same street. But that didn't happen. But yeah, his evolution now is pretty incredible. Like I listened to the album I waited for that album. I listened to it. My first thoughts was, I don't understand if you're talking about being free. It gave me Lord of the Rings vibes. I was waiting for the Shire to appear, and I was listening to it, and I was just like, but it's smooth. It's real smooth. And I was reading the social media responses this morning, and people are just like, what the hell is this? And I'm just like, but you know what? The same people you talk about are the same people they were 20 years ago. There are some people that we grew up with still have not evolved to a new form. They're still mad about something from 96 or 93 or something like that. And you're like, man, that was like 20, almost 30 years ago. Can we be friends? What's up with that? But people are not evolving. But you also gotta understand that a lot of people ain't had any good moments from that point to this point. So you gotta live in the past because the future ain't bright as your past at this point.
That's
But
real.
but this guy's future is bright right now because he's at peace.
So Sean, you look like you got some feels on the album.
I want to know what you think about the album first. I'm interested.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like, so the first track, to be honest, like almost felt like it was like an intro hip hop track. Like I felt like, all right, this sort of eased me into where he's going. And then when you finally hear him on the flutes, which again, I don't think it was like immediately on the intro track or the first track. Like I sort of like was like visualizing him spitting, but just like through the flute instead, right? So it's kind of like it was almost like he's riffing. And then and I'm like streaming this album on my Amazon Music. There's kind of like an X-ray like factoids popping up, like, oh, album's trending on the jazz charts. Oh, album's trending on I wasn't world music, but it was something like spiritual music or something. Anyhow, I just thought I thought it was hilarious that it was like even uncategorical as the album's dropping and as people are trying to process it, like we can't even put this in a category at this point. Like he's an ensemble. He's obviously not the only person, so it was dope that he got this collective to kind of even do this. And the NPR article talks about this too. Like the most bars are the actual track listings, right? So the the last thing I wanted to leave y'all with in this quick thought is like the dad joke part of me inside of me is like the one album title was like, what was it, like 93 to Infinity, Beyonce or whatever, 93. And I'm like, that's nice, I see what you did there, but it is kind of like screaming dad joke to me. But then again, I'm like, if he is a dad, if he's just kind of like mobile with his stuff, I guess a flute is like the most like mobile instrument you could do. I would never say a flute is the most hip-hop thing. A guitar, a sax, maybe. Like I would never go flute, but now, okay, flutes in the case. Flutes is my hip-hop like instruments now. I might reach out for if I ever decide to learn one.
You think flute sales went up?
I just want to say though that flute, like Lizzo has been on the flute. She's been talking about her flute. So like Lizzo has been playing the flute for years and has done so. I just want
But
not to
Lizzo,
act like the flute hasn't been the thing.
but Lizzo's flute is so sassy though. When you think about
Yes.
it, yeah, Lizzo's playing flute with an attitude. This
Yes.
dude's flute was more Jedi like. You know, he's on the flute, and like you think like we just heard him on the Killer Mike, the Scientist
Mm-hmm.
track. And
Mm-hmm.
on that track, you could tell like he was winding down, like he wasn't interested. He still had he still had the best bars, some of the best bars on that Scientist track, but you could tell that he was not interested. This is what interests him right now. And it's kind of like, you first listening to it, I listened to it like I was brushing my teeth and stuff. I was, getting ready. I was basically getting ready to take a small nap. I was up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I heard it, and I was just like, I gotta listen to this again. So I got up this morning and try it again. I mean, you know what? It's good meeting music. Like if I'm in a meeting and I don't want to be involved and I want to talk to anybody, I got 3 stacks in the background. And it might calm everybody down with issues on that meeting because you need to hear this. So it's like, but most people want that old Andre, or they want that old Kanye, or they want that old Nas. That person doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they can't. That's what they can't accept right now. They want him to be what he was in '96 to about 2004. But other than that, he'll mess around and win a Grammy off of this. This is the crazy thing about it. He'll win a Grammy off the flute album.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think so. I listened when I got up this morning. I was like, I was going to play it, but then was rushing. But I heard my husband playing it as he's getting dressed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, are you going to listen to it? I was like, I had a long drive this morning. So I said, I'm going to listen to it on the ride. Because I needed to listen to it on my own. And I listen to this kind of music all the time as a yoga teacher and like to go to sleep. And my husband was like, this sounds like the music that you go to sleep to all the time. And so when I listened to it, the first song, I was like, I don't know, it was like really making my head hurt. And I was like, what is happening here? I said, I need to figure out like, what are the I need to know the frequencies of each song because they're just not settled. And I need to know it wasn't feeling right in my spirit. So I was like, now I'm going to have to play it when I come home and burn some incense. But at first listen, and then I listened to it on the way back home. I was like, I have a song that like, I always have songs that like catch me. And so there were there are 2 that caught me that I like looked like, okay, let me see what the name of this was. But I was like, something about this is just not settled in my spirit. I don't know. Who are these people? Are they not settled? Are they like, not calm in their soul? But so I don't know if this whole project can make it to a yoga class because it might drive some people out of the class.
Well, that Beneath the Dungeon Floor track, that last track, the way he ends that whole like album, it's like it's kind of like it was a Jedi mind trick. That's what it was with this album. It was a Jedi mind trick because like No Sage said, you hear that first intro, you want somebody to rap on it, but nobody raps on it. It's almost like it's like listening to like an interlude, pretty much an old school interlude. If you think about the Roots or somebody got, you got like they had the Flight on one of the Roots album. How I Got Over before How I Got Over comes on. It's the Flight, the Jay Dilla track, the interlude track, where it just raises up and then it goes to the next track. I felt like he gave us a bunch of interludes. But in between transition tracks, between tracks that were longer than usual interludes, but they're all smooth. And if you close your eyes, they kind of tell a story. I think he's basically saying that, this is my version of hip hop right now, and accept me as I am. Is what I pretty much got from that. And I'm going to do this, and I might rap next time.
Or he might never rap again. I didn't even go into it. I think it's like the folks who just really, really yearn for him to be hip hop. We're thinking that it was like the beginning of something. I went into it like that it was going to be a flute album, that it was going to be vibey. We might never get, rap album from him again. I have to find the quote that Questlove said about the album. No Sage, what are you thinking about the album?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other standout track for me, besides the intro, again, because like I hate to keep saying that it was taking off my hip hop lens, taking off my hip hop glasses, like, all right, get ready for the experience. The Gandhi track, The Gandhi one, I mean, you could read the whole album or the whole track title, Gandhi, Dalai Lama, Your Lord Jesus Christ. That one kind of like gave me sort of like epic vibes, kind of gave me like epic feels. And I guess at that point, I had no, I had to submit to the album because it was almost like the third half, the third quarter, or the third of the album that was almost like finishing off. And no track is like short. I think there's only one track that's like 3 minutes, so that's kind of like what a quote unquote song would be. But again, like every song had to be outside the box. So obviously, yeah, it had to be no bars. It had to be long. I mean, and then Deshaun, I like how you said you had to listen it to yourself, because like I think the thing that is interesting about the stream culture, because obviously growing up with tapes and CDs, like sometimes it was like, hey, I'm throwing a house party or a block party in my car. Here's the windows rolled down. Y'all gotta like pay attention. Now it's kind of like you have to approach different projects and different albums and different songs like almost, I don't know, like almost solo. Like you gotta just like come to terms with it on your own. And I don't necessarily think he's kind of like trying to tap into that vibe, like like the Lost One rap kid, or lost someone in like Music Finder. But there's something to like being able to kind of like enjoy an album for what it is on its own without having to like be part of the experience. Who knows, if you go to those crazy like headphone parties and you don't know what somebody's listening to and they're wilding out to this album, like for real, the New Blue Sun, that's the one that does it for you. All right.
I think that is interesting. And I think the song, the one that got me, I think first round might have been 93 Till Infinity and Beyonce. And I was like, maybe it's because it's Beyonce. No Sage, how I feel about Beyonce from the Squeeze and Lemon times. But then that Night in Hawaii also got me. Mm-hmm. And I think with both of those, I'm looking at like what are some of the instruments used, but I feel like in both of those, maybe especially 93, it says Andre did some panther toning, and you can hear that in the back. And then it still feels like there's like a rain instrument, and that gets me. Those are things that really like calm me down. So those are, two that like really piqued my interest. Like, okay, I can go back to those. And then in the interview, he had talked about that track that, it was inspired when he was in Hawaii and he did ayahuasca. And even before I listened to the interview, I just read a snippet about it. I was like, this album is definitely someone who has like gone on a journey or gone on a trip. And you could definitely get that from this. But it just feels, again, like all of the rules are thrown out the window, all of the things. And it's not necessarily, he's like, I hope people consume this, he said in the interview, and they'll take what they want. But it was like for him. And I just really appreciate just that freedom in that. But I definitely want to like lay on the floor or outside and play this album and have it like have the vibrations. Like I'll probably play it and put my speaker on and have the vibrations feel. So again, because I'm like, some of these vibrations I don't know about, but some of them did feel very interesting and good. And then wanted to mention that Questlove, he had said, has a long post about it. And he says, all you newbie meditators, dosers, time out for me before I hurt someone, people who are trying to do better. This is a good medicine music for you. So that's interesting. I think I have to sit with it a whole lot more to again see if like this, I feel like I could bring this into a class of sorts.
Yo, it's trending now on the medicine music charts after that post properly. That up.
It's crazy when you think about it, though. I mean, that whole culture of traveling, leaving your home behind. It's kind of like he started that whole movement of just leaving all possessions and traveling with a backpack. Then Kanye took it to that level. I'm gonna sell all my property and live out of backpack and buy underwear when I land places. So they've like given up all their, I won't say giving up all their worldly possessions, but they're so disconnected from the norm of buying a home, living in a neighborhood. They just want to, their neighborhood is the world. They want to go somewhere, sit there for 6 months, reflect on life, make a track, and then fly somewhere else. It sounds awesome. So the thing I always wonder about, what happens when you're out of places to visit on this earth? I think that, because Dre's a traveler. When you see him in the airport, I'm assuming he's going somewhere else. He's probably playing the flute in between his next flight somewhere. And it's remarkable. Another thing I noticed with this album, they dropped the vinyl today, No Sage, at about an hour ago. So the vinyl is $80. It's $10 per track. It's $80 for the vinyl. There's 4 records now. So that's crazy. 8 tracks, 4 vinyls. And they put a limit of you can only buy 2 per household. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. So it is sold out.
That stands the lay on the floor test that Deshaun was talking about. Like my image is like, if you can kind of like lay on the carpet in your living room and just like vibe out to a vinyl for hours on end, like you're tapping into something, right? Like I actually started playing this album like 11 at night. I was surprised it didn't come out till midnight. I was up, I was trying to put the kid to sleep. Kids usually sleep before I do, and I need some noise. Like I'm usually like an audio person, whereas like my partner is usually like needs a TV on to go to sleep. So anyhow, I played it going to sleep, right? I wake up and I played it again. But Deshaun, like that Hawaii track was the first one that I had to look at the album title. Like, all right, which one is this? Right. So at this point, I might have probably heard it 2 or 3.5 times. And then I had to read the album title, like, this is nice. And then I felt like it was Andre forcing me to understand his experience. So the whole track title is called That Night in Hawaii, when I turned into a panther and started making these low register purring tones that I couldn't control. Shit was wild. So I was like, all right, is he just speaking to me right now? Like, I felt like I unlocked some chakra somewhere. I had to read the track time. Like, what is this? So
Check
yeah.
underwear. He lost bowel control. What's going on over there? You start to see Erykah Badu appear in the background. You're like, no.
Oh man. Uh-oh. Are we gonna get a common no bar album?
Yeah, I could, you know
electronica
what?
no bar album.
Get them all together. They all play different instruments. That would be incredible.
Oh my God. That would be insanity.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. Put that into the universe. Jay Electronica, we never ever see. Oh man.
Jay, I'm quite sure that, I saw a picture of him recently. Like, have you seen them recently? It's like their metamorphosis, they all starting to look the same. Like Common's just bouncing around from person to person right now. And Jay was, he was dating that social life for a while. The lady he was dating, I think she was like high ranking, the Rothschild. He was in a Rothschild relationship. He was dating one of the Rothschild people. He got deeply involved with it. Then he broke up with her or something like that. So Jay Electronica, he's a mysterious figure. He's like, he starts talking about the Illuminati and stuff like that. This album here could be the soundtrack to the Illuminati movement, if you think about it. It's like you listen to this track and you understand what the Illuminati actually is trying to do. I would say like definitely that Gandhi track is the one that is very haunting. You think about it. You listen to like you listen to what that flute is really saying on some of these tracks. It's like talking to you. I do agree. It's kind of creepy. So I was listening to it, but I can tell you what track it is. It felt like he's saying the names of the track in the background, like they're playing it backwards or something. So there's a lot going on with that album. I gotta listen to it again. Not during the nighttime. I gotta listen to it during the daytime while I'm not driving.
Yeah, I gotta listen while I'm not driving to really be able to, like I said, burn some incense, lay on the floor, take it in. And the thing that I want people to realize and remember is that what I'm afraid is that people will just say that it's like the greatest thing because it's Andre 3000. Mm-hmm. Like, even if you don't necessarily end up feeling that way, it's completely fine. I just think, be honest about how it feels for you. And that's what I'll definitely do.
I agree. It's your interpretation. Everybody's not going to feel the same way. It's like I would say like my friends who listen to 2 Chainz ain't feeling it. My friends that listen to Wu-Tang are just like, you know what, or Griselda, you know what, this is different. Like Rashad. Rashad's been going off about this all day. He might dress up. He's gonna dress up he gonna dress up like Johnny Cage later today or something like that. I might stop it, man. So he might put on a full costume later and review the album. I'm waiting to see this online.
I love the Griselda album though. That is funny, and I had to do a palate cleanse, and I put on the new 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne album, and then went back to this. But again, that's what I want people to think is like the word. One of my words this year has been expansive. And like we can be expansive. You can love that Griselda album. You can love Collard Grove. You can love, this album. That is, it's all possible. And I think like even us people who are like hip hop fans from the beginning to the end, you can love all of those things or find some kind of love in all of them. And even if you don't have to like hate on it because it's not your thing.
I guess off topic, how do you compare that album, that Wayne and 2 Chainz album, to the first album? Because that first album is production wise is ridiculous. It's like Wayne's metaphors are just on a different planet. Go ahead.
So far I listened to it a little bit, and first listen, I'm like, oh, this hits. So I have to really spend some more time with it, but I'm happy to see that Wayne seems like he's doing well and that he's out here and like trying to make moves and doing lots of pop-ups at different folk shows. So it's just exciting to see. But I think thus far I'm not disappointed, and I think it might be a good comparison to the first.
It was a lot of collaborations this week. You had Meek Mills and Rose this week. That's interesting. Then you bring this out to round out the rest of the week. So it's like we had very strong hip hop all week, and then we go into the culture. We went into the culture nightcap, I call it. So this thing might make more noise than both of those albums, and those are 2 good albums, basically. To be honest with you, Meek is acquired taste sometimes. I can only listen to Meek Mill when I'm working out or something like that, because you can't drive listen to Meek. You end up hitting somebody. Because Meek is telling you to get on the back of that guy's bump and fly around him, and you like, come on, because Meek changes your whole mood. And like my 11-year-old, first time she heard that Dreams album, and I was like, you got Nightmares and Dreams, you got to turn that off. You're 11, turn it off right now. She's like, but Daddy, he sounds like he's angry. I'm like, nah, he's just emotional. That's just Meek. So, but Meek's flow is built off of just that rage inside, You feel it. I mean, Dreams and Nightmares, man, that thing is something else. But what would you say, Andre, right now, if he did give us a hip hop album? He gave us an album that they say it was produced by Kanye, right? You think about their synergy, like you think about Life of the Party, right? And we got an album that had that Life of the Party vibe right now. How well you think that'd be received?
I think you'd be embraced. I actually was thinking about like the big boy equation in this all. Like he's still been doing tunes. He's still been like kicking around himself, and like he even did a decent project with Fanagram, and they kind of merged it and called it Big Grams. So like I'm also thinking about like Wu-Tang, right? Like Inspector Deck sort of had his own side project who he called Czarface. And anyhow, I'm saying these things like I would love for like Andre to kind of like merge up with some sort of like rock vibe and kind of marry the two. But it's weird because like again, after hearing that NPR interview, which there's so much to unpack in that 1 hour, it's like I don't want to say he's against it, but the Gemini him, I don't think he's with it. Like he's on a different wavelength. Like he's not necessarily into things that sell. Like Novak, you talking about like people throwing him change in the airport. Like he probably doesn't need it because every time he drops one verse, it's getting like tons of streams. So I mean, there goes your tip bucket there. But I mean, I would honestly love for him to tap into more like the Love Below vibes for sure. But
Oh man,
I don't know, man. He
man,
basically birthed the 808s album, right? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, you take Prototype off of that album and you go listen to 808s and Heartbreak. Or listen to RoboCop off of Kanye's RoboCop. It's so Dre-like if you think about it. So Three Stacks like. That whole style, man, came from Dre.
I would say I would never want him to collaborate with Ye again.
Okay. He's like a lot of people.
I would like him to stay away from
That's
Kanye.
fair. So were those rumors
Yeah.
real? Like, I don't know if it was like just some hearsay, because like I thought he almost didn't want Ye to use the verse, and then he almost, like, obviously he gave Ye the verse, but then I don't think he asked for like total permission, because I think there was like certain edits or certain parts of the story, or
He wasn't happy with the verse. That was the rumor. He didn't want it to go to. He didn't want to get light. So he does a lot of music that he doesn't want people to release.
No, and again, yeah,
It's
the
private.
NPR article talks about that too. It's like the tortured artist. Like, he says, I can spit bars and I can rhyme bars, but for me, it's like building a house. And it's like, there's so much to unpack in that statement. It's like you can build houses like Three Stacks. You can build like a whole city, but does he actually want to like put that effort into it?
Well, it's a Dr. Dre thing. You think about it, where Dre's been building condos that we'll never see, because he said it's personal. I think with Dre it was, hey, Ye, I'm gonna spit on this track, but don't release it. Then they said Drake released it. Drake like basically released it. No, I don't think that's what happened. I think that's Kanye's people released that track. It got out there. It's like 3 versions of Life of the Party. Just to let you know, in the Kanye universe, there's 2 to 3 versions of the same damn song with multiple artists on there, and it just pop up. Or you think about Beyonce, right? How much work did he do on Beyonce? How much work did Ye do in the background of Beyonce's albums? There's a lot of production in the Beyonce space. If you think about the Carters, the Carters is like it's like the mud child of Kanye, Beyonce, and Jay-Z all got together and had a kid. That's what it's family members. Everybody's on that album. Blue's on that album. I'm surprised his kids didn't show up on that album. That's how crazy the Carters is. The Carters is very good music. I didn't want it to be nice because I want that reasonable doubt Jay-Z back, but he's gone. He's family. He's no longer Sean Carter. I want Sean Carter to show up one time, but evolution. He had to change. Like my wife argues with me all the time. Y'all want people to stay the same. I'm just like, I know. It's hard. It's hard for us because when I was the reasonable doubt, I had tears coming out of my face. I'm like Mitch. I'm riding around like Mitch from Paid in Full in the car. Like, I just need it one more time to rap for me like that.
It's not like, yes, we have to
drop some more gems from us, Deshaun, please.
Our favorites have evolved.
We are dying inside here.
I know our favorites have evolved.
Not too short.
Yeah, and maybe Too Short should do some evolution. I don't know, but but our favorites have evolved, and like they came into this game in a place of like desperation and to create something, and they have built something that outlives them and that will outlive them, and I think that is like just such a gift. So I think that, like, I get that on the Jay-Z front and the Andre 3000 front, like they are different and they should be, and we just have to be like, just have to go back to those albums that we listened to when we were 20 and just really appreciate them for what they were and be grateful that they still hold up now, and also appreciate where they are now and that they have been able to grow and build what they said they're going to do. And on the same token, I'm like, I want everybody to evolve, but I was really annoyed about Young Jeezy and this interview that he just did. This is a very side note. And I was like, Young Jeezy, you have not evolved that much. This feels very fake.
It was staged, to be honest with you. It was staged. It was like, tell us how you feel, Jeezy. And he goes sideways. Well, I have a hustler's mentality. And everybody's like, you still hustling, Jeezy. But, if you think about evolution, even Beyonce, I know you're a Beyonce fan. Lemonade is one of the dopest albums that people don't, it's the dopest album you can listen to in a car driving around. That track, Sorry, you can hear you hear all that rage inside that track, Sorry, and the way that bass just roars through. It's an 808 that glides through the speakers in the car or speakers in the house. That album is like, like I would say, like with this Andre album, it's built for Atmos. That's that Atmos sound. Like you ever look at, the difference between audio? So you got different channels. Like I'm an audiophile. So I want to put this thing on the Atmos. I want to hear it on the Atmos system in my house to see what the differences are. With that rain coming down and everything. I hear that from my overhead speakers. I would say like music is finally catching up with video right now in terms of quality. That's what I would say about it. It used to be video was this much ahead and audio was back here. Because remember, we went from MP3s to streaming audio. Tidal had the best audio out there for a minute. You paid that what $20 a month when it was when it first came out. It sounded better than Spotify. It sounded better than Pandora. All that stuff. But you paying that money. Those FLAC tracks are just so much better. This album, I want to get this album at its highest bit and put it on one of those systems and let it roar through the house or something like that. And see what the differences are.
Okay, I want to hear a report back on how that sounds.
You're blowing up my my 90s brain, because like I remember when I used to set up like the 5-speaker setup, right? Like the whole like 2 in the front, 2 in the back, subwoofer, whatever. And now it's like most of my music, I'm just listening to like one AirPod, if that, because I'm trying to juggle the kids. So it's kind of like, yeah, I do feel you. It's like I do wish this album had like 10 speakers and I was in the middle on my carpet, and then every speaker had a different instrument hitting me from different directions, But like,
maybe
I don't know,
that's
like,
something I need to do. Maybe that's kind of a kind of event that I need to host, is like have a DJ come with speakers and know how to do the sound. Because as I think when we first started the conversation, the thing that I always think about, I think like I really have a passion for like just seeing that men can evolve. And as a yoga teacher, I want to make spaces. I don't necessarily think I'm the person to hold space for men, but men need a place to rest and to feel and to heal. So I was like, maybe this album will be an introduction to some yoga or some meditation or some vibiness for more men to do those kind of things. But I'm like, now I would love for maybe not me, but a DJ or somebody to have an event for men to come lay out and listen to this, and then y'all can cry about how y'all miss the old Andre 3000.
Oh man, that sounds like bad therapy at that point.
I'm with it.
It's a grief
Let's
event.
roll. Let's roll.
We bring all the rappers that fell off, that we thought fell off. We put them together and start burning their pictures in the room like Sage.
Yes, I think this is a great idea. This is a great idea, event in the making.
Oh man, and make them drink wine while they're crying. That'd be hilarious, man. Like, is that Cooper's Hawk in that bag? What's going on right now? Having a Cooper's Hawk in the back rooms and just basically do hot yoga while you're doing it. That'd be hilarious.
No, you can't have alcohol. You have to have edibles. You have to have weed. You can't have alcohol. This is not the alcohol. You need the edibles or something like that.
Seeing everything in Technicolor in the back. You're like, why are there colors moving around the room? I just saw a panther run across the room.
That's it.
Gum me up.
Yes.
Don't need any projections. So Sage Gawd, I know you're sort of running short on time, but I definitely am happy you stopped by. I was thinking about that thought that you said, that if people are gonna like hoist this as the greatest art of all time, if that happens and people are following the Pied Piper, I will say that I'm glad that 3 Stacks is taking the Pied Piper like moniker instead of like Kells, because that's definitely some healing that still needs to be happening. But
absolutely. Yes, I didn't even think about that.
God.
Will we get this album if Erykah Badu never dated him? Will we get this album is the question.
Ooh, I think so. I think Erykah was influential, but I think he always had it in him.
He brought it out.
I love that people give Erykah so much power.
She has changed hip hop. Now think about this. She's touched Common. She's touched we still Jay Electronica. He did an album that never got released. It's like all his albums have interludes. They're like 15 minutes with her praising him. I was just like, what is this? So I mean,
You know,
come is lost and found.
She was touring with Yasin Bey earlier this year.
yeah,
Like
she
they did
was.
a show at
Yeah.
United Center. So
You know, Erica Badu is a doula. I was like, she should be called the hip hop doula because she has birthed a lot of these
hey,
sons out here.
Oh man. Her aura is everywhere. Walking, and she sells it too. So
She does.
yeah. I won't buy that. I won't buy her smell. I'm good on that. You release it in your house, that's you know, you tell your wife, I'm moving. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm gonna find it. Anyway, no, don't do that. Yeah, I mean, Erica, nah, that's one of those people. If I was seeing when I was a celebrity and I bumped into her, I'm walking out the room. I'm not ready to be enlightened. I'm leaving right now.
the Medusa of hip hop. Don't look into
Don't look her
eyes.
directly in the eyes. Don't do it.
Yo.
You'll be singing Bag Lady by the end of the night.
A wonderful song.
Oh, it's a lot of metaphors in Bag Lady or Tyrone. You ever listen to Tyrone? What she really said, and you were like, she just insulted us and praised us at the same time.
That's how you do it. 1-2 punch.
Hey.
I
So
love
Deshaun,
that.
I also wanted to ask you, because I was very tempted, obviously, but you invoked Ginger, and shout out to G on episode 14. We had her on the show. Obviously, you know, y'all did Squeeze on Lemons back in the day, and plenty of praise for Beyonce. Like, you already got your concert film popcorn bucket booked, or what's going on? You got any plans to watch the
Of course I do. And of course I'm going with Ginger.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yes, we're going together and we went to see
Dope.
the concert together and it was
All right.
amazing.
What did y'all
And
wear? What did y'all wear?
Ginger had on a black dress with like sequins. I had on a black see-through shirt with black shorts, and it was great. And so I am taking both of my daughters to see the film. They are underwhelmed because they're like, I didn't take them to the actual concert. So, but you know, hey, I'm like, it's fine. So the little one she wants a sequins hat and some boots, and I will try to make that happen. But yes, Ginger and I think a group of folks, she's invited a few folks that we will be there for the Renaissance film to relive it again, which I think like that is an album, as you were talking about Lemonade, that is an album that you can see the creative freedom in Beyonce's tone and voice and evolution as well. And that's what I love that a lot. Like there are so many artists who have been able to do that. And I'm loving that Andre 3000 has too.
Big Frida's all over that album, that Renaissance album. I mean, the first
Queen
time
Diva.
I figured out who Big Frida was, I didn't understand the Big Frida reference. And my wife goes, "You know who Big Frida is?" I don't know. And so she showed me a picture. I'm like, no, that's who did the production on this album. That's the Bounce Queen. I'm like, the Bounce. I'm like, okay, all right, I hear what you say. It's like Chicago House, though.
The Queen of Bounce.
Yeah.
Big Frida, Queen Diva. Yes, give Big Frida her things.
I know. Yeah, she's on a new show right now. That college, the show where everybody's trying to go to college with little Scrappy and everybody. Oh man. So yeah, Frida's all over TV right now. You think about it.
She's been out. She's been all over. She used to have her own show back in the day, and I think has maybe another one coming. But I'm a big New Orleans fan. They like just the culture of New Orleans, and you know, in that NPR article interview, Andre 3000 was talking about like funerals. I think, and that, or you know, about like how New Orleans does it right, which I think is beautiful. But like that freedom and the openness of New Orleans for people to be who they are and be accepting of folks, that you just really get that from the Beyonce album and from Big Frida. And I love that Big Frida, you know, can do that and be who she is, be who they are, you know.
Yeah, that's very important. Keep the individualism alive and make sure that you're able to be who you want to be. I mean, yeah, you know, we're just, you know, right now I'm just waiting for that next big hip hop moment right now. I think, you know, it might be this Flute album, but you know, I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for that artist to come smash through right now. The joke the other day was like Nelly's coming back. I'm like, Nelly can stay where he's at. You know, I like Nelly, but you know, Ashanti's got him smiling like he's never smiled before again. So he might be making more music. You know, you might get a country grammar part 2. That's the joke out there on the internet, but it's probably coming. I can see that. He has not evolved. You know that, right, Deshaun?
Not at all.
He's still the same Nelly. You know.
So is that what y'all want? So then my question to y'all before I have to go, what in your idea would be that big hip hop moment that would like just feel your hip hop soul for both of y'all before I have to go?
Hey, so bust this. This might not answer your question, but this is top of mind right now. It's sort of related. So dope that you're going to see the concert film with your younglings. That's amazing. And again, shout out Sipping Tea with Dr. G, her pod. Me and Novak are on a quest to get 50 episodes of podcasting by the end of this year to commemorate 50 years of hip hop. But where I'm going with this is out of the episodes we had so far, Novak, because Deshaun likes to see us squirm as the men that we are. Bro, the only quote that I can think of in our episodes of podding is you said your daughter told you that Taylor Swift is the Tupac of our generation. So one, have you taken her to the concert film? And two, does she even want to see the Beyonce concert film?
Everybody that's a Swiftie is a Beehive member. So they go parallel now. When they had this partnership recently.
That is not true. I just want to say that everyone who is a Swiftie is not a Beehive member. I just want to say that. Let's not say everybody.
Disclaimers.
Okay. Are we talking African American members? Are we talking Polish members? But I know it's like, but you know, it's like all the brown girls basically are just like, there's Auntie Beyonce and there's Cousin Taylor. That's what they do right now. It's crazy. Like my daughter goes, Beyonce, she old, but she could dance. I looked at her like, what's Daddy? Daddy's ancient. I'm like, stop. Daddy's not ancient.
You were born in the 1900s, my dude.
She told me I was born in the 1900s, and I looked at her like, you know what?
She's not wrong. She's not wrong though.
I know. But yeah, she's a Beehive member and she's a Swiftie. So the thing is, so she got the Renaissance vinyl. You know, we listened to her with her. She got the cover and everything. You know, Beyonce, on the horse and everything like that. She loved that cover. So she got the Renaissance T-shirt. She got the Taylor Swift concert T-shirt. We didn't take her to either one of the concerts because she's only 11, but she's still mad about it. She's jaded. So she sees me and goes, "I didn't see Taylor in concert, and I didn't see Beyonce." And I was like, they'll be back in 4 or 5 years. And my daughter goes, "No, they're not. She's gonna have another kid. Jay-Z's gonna have a kid with her. She's not gonna come back on tour, and I'm not gonna see her." I'm like, "Stop. Beyonce's not having any more kids." And she goes, "How do you know this, Daddy?" I'm like, "Whatever, go away." So she's convinced that Jay-Z tries to get Beyonce pregnant to keep her off the tour. My 11-year-old believes this. I'm like, where do you get this from? That's what the kids are talking about in 6th grade now.
I love it. I love it. Well, I will want to know what you all's hip hop, like what would be the hip hop return? And in this 50 years of hip hop, what would be the return that you all would want to see? You can think about it and let me know.
So I actually got it and I wasn't even expecting it. So it happened during this 50 years of hip hop. I saw Wu-Tang and Nas last year with Ginger at like an outdoor festival, right? And I thought it was fine. I thought it was cool. And actually,
I was there the same night y'all were. I was there the same night y'all were.
So Bust the Bus was there too, right?
Yeah.
So it was sort of like an apology, I think, of like, all right, here's no Method Man's not here, but Bust the Bus is here, right? So anyhow, where I'm going with the story is that saw him at the United Center. Kids wanted to go because De La Soul opened, and they have been really into De La Soul with, their music actually dropping on the streams this year. So it was nice to like know they actually wanted to go to a Wu-Tang show because of De La Soul. So that was kind of like my hip hop dreams fulfilled. But besides that, I was like taken aback because not only was it a lot cleaner than the show I saw last year, it was on time. It was like parent hip hop, meaning like they brought everything and they actually finished on time. And there was a point where like everyone was like naysaying like, "Oh, Method Man ain't showing up. He's not showing up." And then lo and behold, in the show, he shows up. So it was kind of like all this magical like things happening at once that I couldn't see like a hip hop kid of me in the 90s like being a hip hop parent like ever happening ever. You know, I had my whole fam with me. My partner was there, and then we all just had a good time. We all had our Woo shirts on. It was like
love
amazing.
that so much.
And it's like, you know, like to go to a rap show like way back in the day, like you would be happy if any of the Woo members showed up, or if they even showed up on time, or even started the show on time.
They matured.
Yeah.
And Nas was like super dope as well. Like it was dope to kind of get that like back and forth, you know. So they cleaned up the show.
I'll have to say before real fast is that when I think with De La Soul, I think when they started streaming, there was a clip of Queen Latifah who was on the stage, and then I think Moni Love was there. That for me was like, I am a Queen Latifah stan. So if it was like a Queen Latifah, Moni Love, and everybody on Ladies First, and get Yo-Yo in the mix too, like that would be my hip hop dream.
I love that. Novak, did you have any hip hop dreams before you close us out for the show?
I think my dream occurred at the Dave Chappelle show. So that's what I was telling you about. So what happened pretty much is, you know, Dave is all into the Woo, and you know, Dave is like hip hop at his core pretty much. And he's up there, he's wrapping up the show. And David just got done telling a joke about Israel and Palestine. So, you know, he got booed a little bit. So he told his fellas, he goes, well, y'all beat the hell out of them. They, you guys been beating each other up since Jesus or whatever. And somebody was like, Dave, that's not true. He said, it is true. It's my show. It's true. And so Dave changed the subject. He goes, you know what? You guys need to feel better. I got somebody here to make you guys feel better. So he sat on stage or whatever, basically, and the Rockwilders started playing. And Method Man appeared. And then you see like you see Ghost and everybody in the tunnel. So you see the Woo watching as Method walks out. It's almost like it's like in basketball, you're doing a starting five, and they brought out, you know, they called out the last, you know, the best player last. And you introduce Mike after everybody else. They brought Meth to the stage. So Meth came up there. So him and Dave started doing the Rockwilder. Dave was doing like Red Man's parts. Meth is doing Memphis stuff. Women were screaming. Everybody out there, you know, dudes was like, man, that dude cold, man. He came out there, the Tim's on and everything. So, you know, whenever you see Woo anywhere, I agree with Jay, like, man, it's a beautiful moment because, man, they take you back to what it was like the first time you heard them. And they take you back to today, like what it's like to see your partner or even your kid hear that music in the car or something like that. Because my wife was a Wu-Tang fan, and she was just like, they talked about drugs and grimy season. I'm like, that's not what they talk. They talk about life and other stuff. Because she thinks that all I need basically Mary J. Blige. You know, that part when you don't have to be a wife, you don't have to be my wife to wear a ring. Wife gets upset and goes, that's our problem. I was like, I'm not gonna break down no bars with you. What he said Mary should have left him when he said that part. I'm like, Mary wasn't dating him. Mary's just in the background singing. So anyway, that was my moment to see Method Man come out there. I've seen Method a lot over time. It was different to see Dave, the culture, and everybody just into it at the same time. You know, it was a lot of people in there, you know, you had white people, you had everybody in there, and they knew the words of the song. It's nothing like that when you put the mic out there and the whole crowd finishes a verse. That was, to me, was like beautiful, man. You know, you come so far in hip hop where nobody knew the words of the song, but they put the mic out there and everybody finished off METHOD, man. And then, you know, everybody knew the words of the Rockwilder. Then he did that Memphis Chef for a minute. He stopped. They said Ray is in the back. So we're hoping that Ray walked out to finish up Memphis Chef with him. I'm like, come on, please, man. I've never seen that song live. Memphis Chef. That song I would love to see live. They don't do it.
So Deshaun, I know you have to hop off. Did you want to like say any parting words for us before you jump off for conversation here?
No, thank you all so much for having me. This was a pleasure to have this conversation on day one of this album and first listen.
Day ones.
as we continue to process, and I would love to like send me an email, let me know how it feels to let the music go through your body when you play it and lay on the floor. But yeah, and if I have a class for men to come out and listen and cry, I'll let y'all know.
Hey, let me know. I have my tissue. Let me know.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Thank you so much, Deshaun.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, definitely check us out everywhere where hip hop is out there. We're on all the streaming services. Go out there, listen to something dope today.